This is a view of the southern Appalachians from near Tusculum, Tennessee. Lots of protected areas up there ranging from Sampson Mountain Wilderness to Rocky Fork State Park. And I'll be backpacking off to the left side of this picture. This is looking back at the trailhead in my Subaru from the trail. The waterfall near the trailhead. Don't think it has a name. Well, I've just started a backpack, overnight solo backpack, in the Clarks Creek Recreation Area of the Cherokee National Forest, not far from Tusculum, Tennessee. I started hiking up the Longarm Branch Trail, and shortly I'm taking a short diversion up a side trail to the Pine Ridge Falls, a small waterfall, and essentially I'm heading right up there, and the waterfall is off to the left, so I'm going to be climbing up a bit. And there's the falls, and you can certainly hear it. It's not a big one, but it's pretty. And here's a still photograph of the falls. Well, I'm back on the Longarm Branch Trail now that climbs pretty gradually beside Longarm Branch down below. You can hear it, and it's quite pretty also. Lots of small rapids, and there's another waterfall on up a ways. And the purpose of this solo backpack this couple of days is to see if I can locate a campsite and a good route for a future Sierra Club backpack. And what I'd like to do is connect this area, the Clarks Creek Recreation Area, and off to my right, over the ridges there, is the Sampson Mountain Wilderness, a huge protected area. And if I go on up to the ridge ahead where I'm headed, and the top of the ridge, which there should be trails too, and then down a little on the other side, is the new Lamar Alexander Rocky Fork State Park, and part of it's in the National Forest also. And then go down the Higgins Creek there, and there's a huge, beautiful waterfall down Higgins Creek. So be point to point from this side to the other side, but would be really a good couple of days hike and backpack. And here's another great view of the trail, and down there the creek. Here's a couple of videos of first Longarm Creek and then a side creek. This is an interesting view along the trail, the remains of the bridge abutments of a bridge back when this was a road, and now, of course, it's only a trail. Here's a couple of still photos of Mount Laurel, and then of a snail. I saw several snails close up on the trail. Finally, after about 2.5 miles of walking, a lot of it pretty steep, I'm at the Yardarm Falls. This is maybe the lower part or whatever, but the real falls are really more of a cascade and hard to see. I'll walk up there in a minute, but right there they are. I'm having lunch right here. There's the trail and my backpack where I had lunch, and the lower part of the falls right there. You can't really see it. And moving on up, there's, they really call it Upper Yardarm Branch Falls. Here's an interesting rock view below. Have a closer look at the falls. This group of two adults and a bunch of kids came up, and they're asking where's the waterfall, and where can you play in the waterfall. They thought it was a great place to play. And so I told them the best place was the little pool down at the bottom. Didn't look like you could get all the way to the falls safely. This is the trail above, really right beside the falls. Here's the trail, over there's the falls. Down there you can probably hear them, or the kids playing. Well, after almost 3 miles, I'm to my campsite, which I picked based on the internet descriptions and the maps. And it's not too bad. It's at the very headwaters of Longarm Creek, and the creek's very small at this point. But basically, at this point, there's a road continues on up the creek and up to the top of another ridge, and then I think dead ends. But the one I'm taking, the old road I'm taking, is now a trail. It goes that way and up the ridge and actually to the gap, which I think is probably right up there, somewhere right up there. So I decided to move my tent down closer to the creek. There's the creek, and there's my tent. And I've got a fire drain going somewhere in there. And at around 3:15, early closer to 3:30, I'm heading up to the gap that looks over into Rocky Fork. Well, I couldn't stop at the gap, so Bearwallow Gap, so I ended up hiking on down the whole road to Higgins Creek, and here it is, about 1/4 of a mile or so down to the creek. And the old road down here goes up that way, but the road that we would take if we do a backpack traversing the mountain goes down that way, on down the creek. Well, it's a bit after 5, and I've accomplished what I set out to do. I'm sitting beside Higgins Creek, and here's a map to show basically where I've been. I started right there. The road came up to right there. I'm sorry, the road came to right there, and that's where the trailhead is. And essentially I followed a Longarm branch up through there with a diversion about somewhere in there for Pine Ridge Falls right there. Anyway, all the way up to here, the Longarm Falls is about right there. And then I went on up a little ways and camped right there. That's where I set my tent up. Then I took, all this is an old roads, this road here to Bearwallow Gap. And from Bearwallow Gap, there's an old road, it's not shown on this map, but that goes down to Higgins Creek. And so I am right around in there, right below Bearwallow Gap, 3/10 of a mile down. And then someday I'm going to probably lead a Sierra Club backpack, and we'll continue. There's a road that continues down Higgins Creek to Higgins Falls, which I think is somewhere right in there. On another trip we came down this branch, but this time we'll be coming down the main branch, and the parking lot is right there. So from way up there to here would make a very nice weekend backpack. But I'm only right here, and I've got to go back there tonight, and hopefully by dark, before dark rather, and then tomorrow back to the trailhead right there. That's what I'm doing. And again, right over there, you can't see it, is the very nice and bigger than Clark's Creek and Yardarm Creek, Higgins Creek. Well, I'm coming back up to Hogwalla Gap from Higgins Creek, and crossing the old road here, and then heading back down the trail that I came up to the campsite. Campsite is somewhere not too far really down there. Well, it's a bit after 6:30, And I'm just about back to my campsite. And I've hiked about 7 miles today, maybe a little over, I guess, really. And 3 or so was backpacking, and the rest day hiking. And I'm really tired, and looking forward to some food, and after washing up a bit, I guess. And right there is my tent, so I'm close. Well, it's getting close to 8 o'clock, and I've got everything pretty well shipshape. I washed up a bit off to the side of the creek there, and have got water ready to go. I'm cooking dinner tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm having Knorr whole grain pasta with marinara sauce that hopefully will be pretty good. Some of the others, like similar to that, are good. And some bouillon and some Crystal Light iced tea. And for dessert, a Trader Joe's dark chocolate bar. So I'm all set. I feel a lot better having washed up a bit and sitting down. And the creek, you can hear it roaring right beside me here. And I'm cooking right beside my tent. And may start a fire in a minute. Right there's the fire. It's not quite dark enough yet, but it's getting there. And a bit after 8 o'clock, here is my campfire. Lovely spot. Campfire, creek murmuring down below. Not a bad place. Haven't seen anybody all day except the kids. They were hiking up to the waterfall. Well, I had a really good night last night. I got in the tent around 10:30. I read a while. I'm reading a book by a woman named Carrot about hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. Much harder than this, obviously. And started getting up around 7:30 and slept much of that time. Beautiful night, the sound of the water this morning, the birds chirping, otherwise perfectly quiet. Up ahead, up above, right now it's mainly sunny, blue sky with some clouds. And I'm getting ready to do breakfast, which is Crystal Light orange juice, some hot chocolate in a minute, and oatmeal. All it takes is hot water. Pretty easy to fix. My tent site was pretty perfect, level and soft and close to the creek. So a great place to camp. Today I've got about 2.5 miles or so to hike out to the trailhead and all downhill, so it won't be too bad, although I'm pretty tired. And indeed last night, around midnight, I had some real bad cramps in my legs. Didn't get enough salt maybe, but they seem to be okay now. Okay, I'm just about to the trailhead. We'll have done about 2.5 miles today, so 9 miles altogether. A great backpack, the hardest I've done in a good while. I'm really tired because after last July, broken foot, cut heel, and a sprained knee, I was off 8 months or so from doing anything, so I'm just getting in shape. But I did it, and it's a really good trail and a good backpack and a good place to be.